Okay. Hi. Welcome back to Curtis's Corner. If you're new here, hi, I'm Curtis, and this is in fact my corner. So, first of all, yes, I am alive. I know it's been a hot minute. The channel went a little quiet. I was tired. I was sick. My brain said,
Creative thoughts unavailable. Please try again later.
and honestly, every time I tried to film something, my soul looked at the camera and hung up like a Ghostface victim refusing the call. It wasn't the vibe. But we are back. New year, new era, same me, still yelling about fictional murders like it's a personality trait. And what better movie to drag me out of my cave than Scream 7, the franchise that refuses to die harder than a character with third act plot armor. And yes, I am channeling my inner Gale Weathers for this review. Now before we start, you already know the deal. If you enjoy the video, hit like. It helps the channel more than you think and also feeds my fragile ego, which currently survives on iced coffee and validation. Leave some comments because I actually read them and I like arguing with you politely about horror movies at 2 a.m. Subscribe so you don't disappear like a character who says,
I'll be back.
and ring the bell so you actually know when I post because I am trying to be consistent again. Pray for me. Also, my Patreon. Videos go up early there. Behind the scenes footage, unedited chaos, polls where you literally help choose what I watch next, and occasionally me spiraling about horror rankings like it's a government issue. It's basically the extended cut of this channel. Alright, lock your doors, check behind the couch, and if the popcorn starts breathing, run. Cue the intro. Let's start with the good, because honestly, this movie understood the assignment. Kevin Williamson being back in the writing seat felt correct, spiritually correct. The franchise has always worked best when the tone balances meta commentary and genuine emotion, and this one flows really smoothly. Nothing felt rushed, nothing felt weirdly stitched together, and the pacing never had that awkward "we lost a scene somewhere" feeling. The script also does something that I loved: callbacks, and I mean callbacks everywhere. This movie references basically every Scream entry in ways that actually feel natural in conversations. It doesn't stop the movie just to wink at you. It feels like characters who actually exist in a world where these events have history. I caught nods to 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. The only one I really didn't notice too much was 4, unless I completely missed something, which is very possible because I was busy mentally drafting my suspect list like a detective with zero authority. Now, the part of the script that I struggled with. Characters die, important characters, and the emotional reactions feel speed ran. Someone will lose someone close to them, and within 5 minutes, they're back to solving clues like they had a scheduled appointment with survival. I needed at least one full emotional breakdown. Give me tears. Give me panic. Give me someone unable to function for a scene. Instead, it's like,
That was sad. Anyway, where's Ghostface?
also, they kept mentioning Sidney being absent in the previous movie. A lot. Like, a lot. I counted at least 6 different mentions of New York. It stopped feeling like dialogue and started feeling like the movie itself was side-eyeing the studio. And considering the whole pay dispute situation, yeah, that did not feel accidental. Speaking of Sidney, she is back. And she is still that girl. She doesn't need to be the center of every single movie anymore, and the film actually handles that well. She works perfectly as the experienced survivor who comes in, guides, helps, and reminds everyone she has been doing this since Landlines. She had great lines, but more importantly, she had emotional lines. She feels human again, not just franchise royalty, and it works. She can absolutely exist as a legacy anchor going forward, and I would be happy. You definitely do feel the absence of Sam and Tara in this film. There is a noticeable gap where the storyline was clearly building towards something bigger. Now, I don't agree with how everything was handled behind the scenes, but to be fair, Melissa Barrera has since said that her contract was only for 2 films and she completed what she signed on to do. From a story perspective though, it still feels like a trilogy that stopped right before the final chapter, so the movie has to quietly reroute around the characters the narrative had been investing in for 2 whole entries. Now, Gale. I love Gale Weathers, but This movie barely lets her exist in it. She shows up late, does a handful of scenes, drops some great lines, and then she kind of vanishes again. And honestly, she deserved a real chase sequence. This woman has survived multiple masked psychos in heels and professional outerwear, and you're telling me we couldn't give her one more iconic run for her life? She does still get some really strong comedic deliveries and a few genuinely great one-liners. They work, they land, and they remind you why she's such a staple of this franchise. But nothing beats this line.
Your lemon squares taste like ass.
Chad and Mindy suddenly working with Gale as news people threw me off a little bit. I don't remember that ever being their direction before, but sure, we will roll with it. What I did like though is their sibling dynamic. This movie leans into it way more, and they actually feel like family instead of just two survivors who keep waking up in the wrong movie. Now, the Mindy thing. A lot of audiences complained in 5 and 6 that her rules of the killer speeches never sounded natural. It felt less like a person talking and more like a checklist the movie needed to complete. Basically, an exposition monologue dressed up as dialogue. This film actually acknowledges that exact criticism in a line, almost winks at the audience about it, and then immediately does the rules explanation anyways. Completely, fully, no hesitation. And honestly, that is the most Randy energy possible, calling it out and still committing to the bit. Now, Isabel May as Tatum was honestly a really strong addition. What I liked is that she doesn't just copy Sidney, she mirrors her in a different direction. Sidney in the original started scared and reactive and then became the fighter by the end. Tatum begins the movie already alert, guarded, and ready for problems. She carries herself like someone who grew up hearing these stories and learned from them. Then as the movie goes on, you actually see the emotional weight catch up to her. The confidence cracks, the fear hits, and by the final act, she rebuilds herself into that survival mode in a way that feels earned. It's not a replacement Sidney, it's someone shaped by her, which works way better. Now, as for the rest of the cast, they did a solid job across the board. The movie actually had me questioning suspects a few times, which I always appreciate because I love playing the detective from the seat, like I have any investigative authority. I figured out who it definitely wasn't, but the actual reveal still got me a little. Not a jaw on the floor moment, but enough that I had to sit there and go, okay, fair, you got me. But let's talk about that killer reveal. Don't worry, no spoilers. It's definitely an interesting reveal, just not the strongest one the series has done. The performance itself is good. The actor commits and sells it, but the choice doesn't hit as hard as it probably should have. I had my own theory while watching what would have emotionally wrecked me, and the movie very politely decided not to traumatize me like that, though I wish it did. The motive is where it weakens a bit. I understand what they were going for, and I can see the logic behind it, but it needed one more pass in the writing to really land. It makes sense on paper, it just doesn't punch you in the chest the way a great Scream reveal usually does. But now the kills. Fantastic. Creative, brutal, and sometimes darkly funny without ruining the tension. The franchise keeps finding ways to stab people in new emotional directions, and I respect the commitment. The practical effects looked great, the gore was strong, and the set pieces and lighting looked genuinely cinematic. Some sequences looked gorgeous in a very "you're about to die beautifully" way. All I'm going to say is the spotlight moment, wow. Now, there is also an AI angle with Ghostface communication. Not my favorite version of his phone game, but honestly believable for 2026. If Ghostface can use voice changers in 1996, he would absolutely be terrorizing people with modern tech now. But what the movie does get right is the stakes. People actually feel in danger again. Previous entries had serious plot armor. This time, anyone could go. Aside from a couple obvious survivors, the tension came back. That unpredictability is core to Scream. The only thing is Ghostface himself feels less aggressive than in the last movie. In 6, he felt like a stalking hunter. Here, he feels more like a watcher, calculating, lurking. Still dangerous, just less physically menacing. The call is coming from inside the house, and they're giving Scream 7 an A-. It respects the franchise, fixes the tension problem, delivers strong kills and legacy character moments, and actually feels like a natural continuation. The weaker motive and rushed emotional reactions hold it back from being top tier, but this is still a very solid entry and a reassuring future for the series, and I am very much looking forward to Scream 8. And that's my thoughts. Thank you for letting me scream at you about Scream again. My brain chemistry is officially repaired. If you enjoyed the video, hit like so YouTube stops hiding me like Ghostface in a hallway. Comment your killer theories because I want to see who clocked it and who was suspicious of Gale for no reason. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next video because I promise I am back and I have a lot planned. And again, Patreon for early uploads, behind the scenes chaos, polls, and extra content where I am slightly more unhinged. Alright, I'm gonna go stare at my door for a while because that is statistically where the problem starts. I will see you very soon in the next video. And remember, if the phone rings, don't answer it.